Throw the ball, let the games commence. From the silence to the pitch, feel the suspense. Tactics, passion, the fans in a trance. We're here to discuss, give every team a chance. Strap in tight, let the whistle blow. For every win or loss, we'll let you know. This is the All Sports Podcast, feel the thrill. From every tackle, every shot, we got the skill. In the world of football, we're taking the stage. So plug in your headphones, turn the page.
What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to the NFL segment of the All Sports Podcast. This is Alejandro Rodriguez, and here is Episode 6, Part 3, Monday Night Football. So Week 6 ended off with the New York Jets playing the Buffalo Bills. The New York Jets lost in probably what I would say is probably the most disheartening fashion I've ever seen in my life. They lost 23-20 with the Bills hitting a field goal in the fourth quarter to win them the game. Aaron Rodgers threw for 294 yards with 2 touchdowns, with those 2 touchdowns going to Garrett Wilson and Allen Lazard, respectively. Both Lazard and Wilson had over 100 yards on the day, while Breece Hall had 113 yards rushing to lead all the Jets in that category. On the other end, for the Bills, Josh Allen threw for 215 yards with 2 touchdowns in the air. Those 2 touchdowns did go to Dawson Knox and Matt Collins, while Josh Allen did have a running touchdown for himself, with Ray Davis leading off the rushing yards on the day with 97. Now, this game was down to the wire. The Jets did come out on top after the first quarter. They led 10-7. The Buffalo Bills did end up beating the Jets in the second quarter, 13-7 going into the half. Then by that point, the Buffalo Bills were already at 20. The Jets were at 17 going into the half. The Jets ended up kicking a field goal in the third quarter to tie it 20-20. And then in the fourth quarter, they had a field goal that basically won them the entire game. Now, right after that field goal, there was an interception on the Jets side that basically put the nail in the coffin for them losing. There was a deep pass intended for Williams, but it was intercepted basically with 2 minutes left into the game. Unfortunately, for the Jets, the intended receiver for Aaron Rodgers that day, Mike Williams, did get hurt on that final play, which is very unfortunate for a young wide receiver like that. Now, this game was very interesting because the Jets came into Week 6 off of a loss to the Minnesota Vikings. Now, obviously, it's the Minnesota Vikings, but Aaron Rodgers did throw for 244 yards with 2 touchdowns and 3 interceptions. So last week compared to this week, he did have a lot more yards this week, even though he threw almost 10 times as many in Week 5. Now, for Josh Allen, last week, he came off of a loss as well against the Texans, which the Texans have been doing fantastic. He only threw for 131 yards in Week 5 with only 1 touchdown compared to his 215 this week against the Jets. So it also kind of tells you how much he's been doing, especially with the fact that he's been doing it against these really high defensive teams compared to when he's playing, teams whose defense hasn't really been up to par as of late. And at the making of this recording, 2 major things have gone on for both the Bills and the Jets. At the making of this recording, the New York Jets have traded for Davante Adams, which is by far one of the craziest things I've seen in a very long time. Davante Adams is now reuniting with Aaron Rodgers in New York. And man, oh man, Jets fans, I may be as excited, if not more excited, just to see how he does in the New York Jets system. Unfortunately, you did let go of your head coach in Robert Saleh. So you can only imagine what Robert Saleh is kind of feeling right now, probably beating his head over with a stick, trying to figure out what went wrong. And now the fact that the Jets got Davante Adams is just insane. While on the other side of things, Josh Allen, in the words of other people that I've known who are Bills fans, finally got his wide receiver one, meaning that the Bills have traded for Amari Cooper from Cleveland. And both players were traded for picks. I do believe that Davante was traded for a third-round pick, which was conventional to a second-round pick, depending if Davante plays in the postseason or in the Super Bowl. And as of right now, at the making of this recording, I am unaware of which pick was used in the Amari Cooper trade. I will post that extra information on the X, so definitely check that out. But now these two teams who just played each other and basically down to the wire now have two solid wide receiving options going into the next couple of weeks. So it's only a matter of time before we see, hopefully, a change for those who are wondering about the Jets. And, maybe a continuation of success for the Buffalo Bills. As of right now, to my knowledge, the Bills are going to be playing the the Tennessee Titans in Week 7. I do have them winning that game. I also do think that by the time Sunday rolls around, both Davante Adams and Amari Cooper will be playing for their new respective teams. So be prepared to watch that new dynamic duo hit the fields. I do have the Bills beating the Titans in Week 7. In regards of Week 8, I do see that the Bills are playing the Seattle Seahawks. I do have them winning that game as well, especially with the fact that the Seahawks are now coming off with a third straight loss. And then in Week 9, the Bills host the Miami Dolphins, who honestly I've been watching as well, as much as any other team I've been watching, and they haven't been doing incredibly well. But I do have the Bills basically winning for the next 3 weeks. Now, in regards to the Jets play the Steelers next week in Week 7. They're playing in Pittsburgh. And I do think that hopefully if Davante Adams can, integrate himself into this New York Jets system, they may be able to come out with a win. However, I do kind of have the edge going to the Steelers in Week 7. In regards of Week 8, the Jets do play the Patriots. In that sense, I do have them beating the Patriots in Week 8 if Drake May is kind of still grasping at the reins, with his recent, promotion to QB1. And then in Week 9, you play the Texans, you play the Texans for Thursday Night Football on Halloween. And in all honesty, I do have the Texans winning. But let's see, who knows? I mean, if Davante Adams can integrate himself into this position of being comfortable with the team by Week 9, who knows? You may have the opportunity to beat the Texans, but it all depends. Because I do know that the Houston Texans also, as of the making of this episode, the Texans also traded away Cam Akers to the Minnesota Vikings, which now gives the Vikings another option at running back that they could potentially go on another tear for themselves, even though as of right now, the Chiefs and the Vikings are the only undefeated teams currently as of Week 6. So, a lot of trades did go down. It's going to be very interesting to watch. I am excited. This, just anticipating this new recording for this week, especially hearing the news today, today being, Tuesday, was just insane watching all those trades go down, and the fact that these two teams literally just played each other the night before. You guys literally just played each other yesterday. And within 24 hours, you each got a wide receiver that both of your quarterbacks seem to be incredibly happy about getting. And then, even for the Houston Texans, you are sending Cam Akers. I believe you're getting a pick back. I will confirm that on the X, later on this week when I get more information on it. But, now Minnesota, you also get a new player, a new weapon for your team to hopefully maintain your undefeated streak. So I guess it all depends. The next 3 weeks are going to be incredibly interesting to watch. Like I said, I'm very excited to see these teams basically get revamped. And I do know that the deadline may be November 3rd to November 5th. I don't know if that's that time period for the deadline for trades, the trade deadline for the NFL. So let's see. Maybe these teams have a little bit more they can want to revamp or, a poster. But let's see. It all depends. I think it's going to be... Not that it's going to be. I feel like it has already begun with a brand new start for both of these teams. Especially with the fact that, Davante Adams has been, reportedly saying that he would like to play with Aaron Rodgers again. And then the fact that Josh Allen quite possibly now has a true wide receiver one that he can now throw to. And again, this is all based off of my friends who are Bills Mafia fans. So I'm just going by what they say. I'm going to be keeping a really big eye on those two teams going in, especially with their newest additions. And I'm just excited. So, Bills fans, what do we think? You did come out with a win in Week 6. I do have you guys winning within the next couple of weeks. Let me know how we feel. How do we feel about Amari Cooper? That's a huge trade to get, especially for a player like that who has been so consistent. But, how do we feel about Josh Allen now having a solid weapon to throw to this year? And then same vice versa with the Jets fans. Even though you did lose, you're now 2-4. You now have Davante Adams. He's now reunited with Aaron Rodgers. Do you see Aaron Rodgers kind of getting a rejuvenation of sorts going into the next couple of weeks? Do you kind of see him kind of bringing back that Green Bay Packer connection between him and Davante? That's going to be something, like I mentioned earlier, I'm definitely going to be interested in watching. So definitely hit me up on the X at NFL_on_X to leave me all of your comments, thoughts, and ideas on how both of these teams are going to do going into the next couple of weeks. It's been a true pleasure talking to you all. This is going to wrap up Week 6. I do want to go over some of my predictions in Week 7. Thursday Night Football is going to be played between the Saints and the Broncos. I do have the Saints winning. In regards of the, Bengals and Browns, I do have the Bengals winning. I have the Jaguars beating the Patriots. I have the Falcons beating the Seahawks. Texans beating the Packers. I do have the Colts beating the Dolphins. I do have the Vikings beating the Lions. I have the Eagles beating the NFC East rival Giants. I do have my dark horse. I do have the Rams beating the Raiders, especially with the loss of Davante Adams. I have the Commanders beating the Panthers. I do have the Chiefs winning this rematch. I did mention that the Steelers may beat the Jets. I have the Ravens beating the Buccaneers, and I do have the Chargers beating the Cardinals, finishing out Week 7 on Monday. We'll see if I'm correct going into Week 7. I can't wait to talk to you guys then, and I will see you all later. Peace.
From the fans to the players, we'll cover it all. Catch the spirit of the game, we're ready to ball. From the fans to the players, we'll cover it all. Catch the spirit of the game, we're ready to ball.